All right, let's get straight into it. What happens when a single project, a dam, becomes a state's lifeline, but also ignites a massive constitutional firestorm with its neighbors? Well, that's exactly what we're dissecting today, the Polavaram Project. Now, a very recent Supreme Court development has just pushed this topic right to the top of your syllabus. It's a perfect storm of current affairs, polity, geography, and environment. So to really understand this, we need a solid game plan.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll tackle the latest drama in the Supreme Court. Then, we'll zoom in on the project itself, its geography, and its massive scale. After that, we'll look at the human and ecological price being paid. Then, we'll unravel the tangled web of interstate politics, look back at the project's long history, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways you absolutely need for your exams.
So why are we talking about Polavaram right now? What's the big deal? Well, it all comes down to one date, January 12th, 2026. Now, you need to circle this date in your notes because this isn't just some random event. It's a critical legal turning point and honestly, a highly probable prelims point. Let's get right into what happened. Okay, so on this day, a Supreme Court bench led by the Chief Justice of India, Surya Kant, took up a case filed by Telangana. But the court's message was pretty clear. Telangana, you've come to the right place, but you've knocked on the wrong door. The court called their petition prima facie not maintainable. In simple terms, that means, on the face of it, they used the wrong legal tool for this particular fight. So instead of throwing the case out completely, the court gave Telangana an option: withdraw this petition and come back through the correct legal route. This isn't just a technicality, you see. It's a huge strategic shift in this whole dispute. So what was that wrong door Telangana used? It was Article 32. Now, you know Article 32. It's the heart and soul of our Constitution, as Dr. Ambedkar famously said. It's like the emergency hotline straight to the Supreme Court when your fundamental rights are violated. But here's the catch. The court basically said that this fight between states over a dam, at its very core, isn't about fundamental rights. It's a different kind of dispute altogether. And this is the right door the court pointed them to. Article 131. This is the special, designated entrance for any legal battle between states or between a state and the center. It gives the Supreme Court what we call original jurisdiction, meaning it's the first and the only court that can hear these specific cases. Getting this distinction right is non-negotiable for your exam, which brings us to our first memory anchor. Just lock this little phrase in your mind. When fundamental rights are at stake, you knock on door 32. But when states have an original fight, their case is at door 131. All right, quick recall moment. I want you to pause this explainer for just a second and tell yourself, which article gives the Supreme Court its original jurisdiction for fights between states? You got it? It's Article 131. Drilling this difference between 32 and 131 is absolutely crucial. So what's next? Well, this quote from Telangana's irrigation minister tells you everything. This isn't just a politician saving face. This is a clear declaration of intent. The legal battle is not over. In fact, it's about to get rebooted on the correct constitutional turf, and it's probably going to be even more intense. So now that we understand the legal battleground, let's ask, what exactly is this massive project they're fighting over? Let's shift gears from the courtroom to the riverbed. To really grasp why this fight is so fierce, you have to appreciate the sheer scale of what is being built here. We're talking about a true engineering marvel on the Godavari River. Look at these specs. This is way more than just a wall of concrete. It's an earth-cum rock-filled dam that stretches almost 2.5 kilometers. It's designed to hold 194 TMC of water. That's a mind-boggling amount. And look at those canals. They act like giant arteries, set to carry water over hundreds of kilometers, breathing life into agricultural lands. Plus, it has a 960-megawatt power plant. These are the kinds of details that will make your mains answer stand out. But if there's one number you need to remember, it's this one: 50 lakh cusecs. That's 5 million cubic feet of water per second. To help you visualize that, it's like draining an entire Olympic-sized swimming pool in less than a second. That is the raw, untamed power of the Godavari floods that this spillway is built to handle, making it one of the largest in the world. This is a fact you must not forget. Now, you might be wondering, how do you build such a heavy structure on a sandy riverbed? It's like building a skyscraper on a beach, right? Well, the engineers came up with a brilliant, first-of-its-kind solution for India: the diaphragm wall. Think of it as a giant waterproof curtain made of a special plastic concrete, driven deep, up to 120 meters, into the sand. It stops water from seeping underneath and destabilizing the whole dam. It's absolutely crucial.
But here's a major plot twist. This very wall has been damaged recently, creating huge problems for the project.
Okay, so we've seen the engineering brilliance. But every mega project like this has another side to its story, a story of immense human and ecological cost. As we move from concrete and steel to people and nature, we're stepping right into the domain of ethics and governance, a really critical area for your GS Paper 2 and 4.
You see, when the reservoir fills up, the water doesn't care about state borders. Andhra Pradesh, of course, faces the largest submergence, with more than 276 villages set to go underwater. But the backwaters, the water that pushes upstream, threaten communities in Telangana, Odisha, and Chhattisgarh. And here's the mains-ready linkage. Most of these affected areas are scheduled areas, protected under the PSC Act. This immediately brings issues of tribal rights and governance right to the forefront of the debate.
The numbers here are just staggering. We're talking about nearly 97,000 families being uprooted from lands their ancestors have lived on for centuries, many from tribal communities like the Koya and Kondarides. It's not just people. The project also threatens the incredibly rich biodiversity of the Papikonda National Park. And what makes this even more tragic is the slow, painful process of rehabilitation and resettlement, which has left thousands in limbo. This is the classic, heartbreaking development versus displacement dilemma, a core ethical issue you have to analyze.
So, all of this brings us to the very heart of the conflict, the epicenter of the controversy, the battle for water. This is where the project becomes a high-stakes game of political chess. It's a textbook case study for interstate water disputes, which, as you know, is a favorite topic for UPSC in the mains exam. The dispute really boils down to one simple question. How much water is Andhra Pradesh actually taking? According to the original agreement, the Godavari Water Disputes Tribunal Award, Andhra Pradesh got the green light to divert 80 TMC of water to the Krishna Basin. But here's the bombshell allegation from Telangana. They claim Andhra is planning to divert way more, a whopping 200 TMC using a new link canal. This accusation of breaking the original award is the core of the entire legal fight. To really understand this, you need to know the players. You've got Andhra Pradesh, the main beneficiary. Then you have the upper riparian states, Telangana, Odisha, and Chhattisgarh, who are worried about flooding and losing their water share. Then, interestingly, you have Karnataka and Maharashtra, who could actually benefit if more Godavari water is diverted because it frees up water for them in the Krishna Basin. And overseeing it all is the central government, acting as both the project's banker and its referee. Understanding this complex web of interests is your key to a great mains answer.
Now, you might think Polavaram is a new project, but it's not at all. This is a dream that's almost as old as modern India itself. To get why it's so politically important today, we need to hit the rewind button and see how this idea from 1941 became a top national priority. The first idea for this project was floated way back in 1941. It took until 1980 for the first foundation stone to be laid. Then things went quiet for a long time until 2004, when the project was revived. But the real game changer was 2014. As part of the AP Reorganization Act, Polavaram was declared a national project. To help you lock in this timeline, here's our second memory anchor. From 41's dream to 80's stone, 04 saw the project reborn. In 14, it turned national, a federal pawn.
So how does Polavaram stack up against other big dams? Well, putting it in perspective is really useful. While Sardar or Sarvar stores more water, what makes Polavaram so special is its strategic role in linking two massive river basins, the Godavari and the Krishna. This makes it the poster child for India's larger river interlinking ambitions. And that's exactly why UPSC might ask you to critically analyze such projects.
Okay, we've seen the law, the engineering, the human cost, and the politics. So where do we go from here? How can this massive conflict be resolved? In this final section, we're going to focus on solutions and boil everything down into the most important, high-yield takeaways for your revision. There's no single magic bullet here. The solution has to be multi-pronged. First up, the legal path. Telangana needs to follow the Supreme Court's advice and file a proper suit under Article 131. Second, the technical path. The states need to agree on joint surveys by a neutral body, like the one in Pune, to get the real scientific data on submergence. Third, infrastructure. Protective embankments have to be built in Odisha and Chhattisgarh to allay their fears. And finally, and most importantly, the political path. The Apex Council needs to become a real forum for dialogue, a genuine exercise in cooperative federalism. Okay, let's crystallize this. Here's your final cheat sheet. For prelims, you must know Article 131, the 80 TMC figure from the GWDT award, and the national project status.
Know the key locations, like Bhadrachalam and Papakonda National Park. For mains, you need to think bigger. Polavaram is your go-to case study. Use it to discuss interstate water disputes, the challenges to cooperative federalism, and that critical conflict between big development projects, the environment, and tribal rights.
And that's our deep dive on the Polavaram project. Now, to help you really consolidate all of this, we've prepared some high-yield notes and a fantastic, colorful mind map for your quick revision. Just head over to our website. The link is right there in the description. As you go back to your studies, I'll leave you with this final thought. How do we ensure that mega projects like Polavaram become symbols of national progress for everyone and not monuments of conflict? Thank you for joining me.